The following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of The Grind with me, your host, Hibak Said. This week, we're getting a little bit sweet with it. We're going to be looking into beekeeping and manufacturing some of the products that are used in beekeeping. Kenya is already 80% arid and semi-arid, so if you're looking towards this as a business, it's going to be very practical for you. But first, let's take a look at the market margins. Consumption of honey in Kenya is projected to reach 24,000 metric tons by 2026, a 2.7% increase from 21,000 metric tons consumed in 2021. Between 2017 and 2021, the average annual increase in demand was 1.6%. Kenya ranked 14th in 2021, with Angola ahead at 21,000 metric tons. The United States, Germany, and Iran ranked 2nd, 3rd, and 4th respectively. Now, despite this steady growth of a customer base and consumers, production of honey in Kenya is expected to drop 2% annually on average, from 15,260 metric tons in 2021 to 13,290 metric tons by 2026. Since 1966, the annual supply has decreased by 9.8%. In 2021, Kenya ranked 26th, with the Central African Republic ahead at 15,260 metric tons. Canada, Argentina, and Iran ranked 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, respectively. So what does this mean? As the supply continues to reduce, demand is steadily increasing, and this creates a wedge for importers of honey, which disenfranchises local producers. Many areas in Kenya are ideal for honey production and beekeeping, but this seems to be a slowly dying art. And right from our market margins, we have our entrepreneur of the week. Joanne is just going to be taking us through how we make some of these products, how beekeepers can get these products, and how they use these products as well. Joanne, maybe if you could just take us through some of these products, tell us what they're used for. We're going to be going into the farm later on, but first, please introduce yourself. What do you do? Why are you doing it?
Thank you so much. My name is Joanne Kinyanjui. I'm the co-founder for Yata Beekeepers Limited. We are an end-to-end beekeeping company that helps smallholder farmers be able to start their beekeeping venture for the purpose of generating some income. We have some equipment here. This is the main equipment you need to start beekeeping. It's a beehive, and it is the standard Langstroth beehive. This is modern beekeeping, which is a shift from the traditional beekeeping methods, whereby you would use maybe the log hive and put it from a tree. Right. So this is the sustainable beekeeping method that we recommend for our farmers. And if you look at this beehive, it has 2 sections, and that's what makes it sustainable, because the bottom section is called the brooder section, and this is where the queen and the young ones stay. And the top section is called the super section, which is where the honey is kept.
Right, John, maybe if you could just take us through your journey a little bit, right? You went into beekeeping. Clearly, this could be a lucrative market, but it's not something that a lot of people do. Why did you go into it?
We started beekeeping in 2016, and we were researching for agricultural systems that don't require a lot of your input or work, so that you can do it from maybe when you're working or far away from the farm. And while researching, we saw beekeepers, but they were doing the traditional methods. And we really wanted to improve how they were doing it, because in the traditional way, going to the forest and going on trees is something even I as a woman could not be able to do it. So in my research, we discovered that there were modern beekeeping methods. I received training from the University of Nairobi, and they had a partnership with Michigan State University. And because of our interest in modern beekeeping, they trained me on how you can do it in the best way. And so when we came back, we had to start implementing this with smallholder farmers. So we invested our time and effort to training other farmers to join us in modern beekeeping, and that's how we started producing the equipment that they needed to start beekeeping. So they would ask us, where do we get the beehives that you're talking about, this modern beekeeping equipment, the bee suits and the extractors and all this equipment. And we found that we needed to be the support system for them. So we ended up doing the entire end-to-end beekeeping business, which starts from training the farmers to offering extension services, to producing and manufacturing the beehives and the bee suit and other equipment they need on the farm, and being able to provide market access, whereby if they produce this honey, we are able to aggregate it and process it and produce it and be able to sell to the end user, who is usually our customer.
John, you've talked about bee suits. I can see that you have, 2 bee suits here. Maybe if you could just tell us what makes them so special. We know that traditionally people didn't bother with these things. What makes these so special?
Yes, as you said, traditionally farmers will just go to harvest without the gear. But this makes it easy and efficient for any farmer, including you and me, to become beekeepers. So the bee suit has a veil and the overall, and you're also allowed to wear gumboots and a pair of gloves. Once you wear this, you're easily protected from the bees. And we do suggest that you go to the farm in the evening, because we want this beekeeping to protect against the people who are in the environment. So when you go to the evening, all the bees are back in the hive. So even when you smoke them, I'll show you the smoker. Even when you smoke them and you wear the gear, the bees are able to be calm, and you can be able to manage the hive when you have the right gear.
Right. John, you deal with a lot of smallholder farmers, right? And transitioning into some of these modern methods could be a little bit hard. How exactly do you teach them to take these things up? How do you make it easy for them to access this?
Yes, we try to reach to the farmer at the rural grassroots level, and we do this by first offering the main training they need to start beekeeping, and by being able to go where they are and showing them how to do it in the most efficient and sustainable way, the farmers are able to embrace this. And you find that maybe most farmers have smallholder pieces of land, and they are doing other agricultural systems in that piece of land. So you need to make beekeeping safe for them, and in a modern way, and in a way they can be able to integrate in their agroecosystem and be able to reap their benefits from the bees, the benefits from their farm, also with the bees.
Right. I see these two materials are quite different, right? What's the difference? How exactly do you distinguish the two from each other?
Oh yes, we have the khaki material that is 100% cotton. So the benefit of khaki is that it's washable. You can be able to wash it. And so it's a bit reusable, and it's hardy and can be maintained for a long period of time. The benefit of satin is that the bees cannot be able to sting it. So every time they touch on it, they slide. And for a bee to sting you, it needs to step on the surface. So this enables the bees not to be able to step on the surface, and so they cannot sting you on this one. But it's also a bit risky if you're going through the farm and there are some thorns and some barbed wire. It might get torn a bit easily, but they both last a long time. So they both work efficiently. It depends on the user base, the farmer, what they need and how they need it.
All right, I was even thinking that one is a bit more fashionable. I thought it was a fashion
It was a fashion statement. Yes, if you like this fashion statement, we can wear this type and not this type. But they're both functional and they do the job they're required to do.
All right, let's move to this side a little bit. I can see that there is more equipment here. Maybe if you could just take us through it. What exactly is this? How do farmers use this?
This one is called a 3-frame honey extractor. When you put the frame inside, once the frame has some honey, you'll put it inside, and in the process of spinning it, so when you spin it, the centrifugal force will extract the honey, and it will fall on the sides of the extractor. And after some time, it will come sipping down to the bottom, which is called the honey gate. Then we can use the settling tank and a double sieve at the bottom. So when you open this, your honey is already being extracted, it's being sieved and entering the settling tank, where it will stay for 2 to 3 days so that the scum can come on top, and then now you'll continue packing from the settling tank.
You can just tell us some of the challenges that you've gone through in your business.
Beekeeping has a lot of challenges, just like any other agricultural activities. Number one, it's impacted by climate, like when it's flooding or drought, like changes in the environment. So to counter this, you need to provide the bees with a nice settlement, a nice beehive where they can stay. And we advise you put it on a stand so that even if it's flooding, the bees are protected from the flooding condition. If there's drought, provide your bees with some food. That is some water sugar or some mixture of fruits and water syrup so that they can be able to survive the drought season. But beekeeping is able to support farmers who are even in arid areas because they don't require a lot of water or a lot of food for you to manage them. So even in these lack seasons, you can be able to support the bees in the beehive.
Right. And maybe if you could just tell us, when it comes to the market, of course, a lot of people love honey. It's delicious. However, there is a lot of factors that people usually consider. There's, of course, competition from international firms and people who even bring them from other markets. If you could just tell us, how exactly are the markets working out for you?
Yes, the market, since 2020, the COVID era, the demand for honey has really improved, and people have seen honey as a medicinal product, something that can help in their in reducing the effects of cold and flu season, and we have been able to market honey as a medicinal product more. And there's a lot of competition from people who try and sell compounds that are not honey, could be the syrups or adulterated honey, and this does give us competition because when you go to the market, someone will say, I just bought honey for 200 shillings a kilo, 300 shillings a kilo, which does not even meet the production cost of producing real organic honey. So we do a lot of sensitizing the customers so that you need this honey for the properties it has inside, which is the medicinal properties, the nutritional benefits you get from it, the mineral components, and you need to take the real honey to get all these benefits.
Right.
So we educate the customer to get the right quality honey from the beekeepers so that they can be able to serve the purpose we needed.
All right, it's very important for you to know the quality of the honey that you use every single day. And maybe if you just promote some of the farmers within this country, you could be getting the best honey. We're going to be going to the farm, of course, after this very short break. When we come back, we're going to be having Business Capital as well. Don't go too far. And welcome back to The Grind. We're talking about beekeeping today. We're going into the details. We want to know how exactly this business is done so that you can take advantage of it. But first, let's take a look at Business Capital so that we get our facts straight. And right from Business Capital, we have our analyst of the week, who was our entrepreneur of the week. Joanne is just going to tell us how exactly this business has been faring on. We are in one of the farms. We're looking at how exactly some of the products we were looking at her shop are being used in the field. Joanne, maybe if you could just start by telling us, these are the things that you make yourself that are used here. And of course, it's not the same as the traditional types of, beekeeping equipment. How exactly is it safer to have these?
When you see here, we are at our farm in Juja, where we do our trainings, and you can see our modern beehives from behind the scene. We use metallic stands to place them on the beehives. So these are our Langstroth beehives, and they are the modern type of beehive. And they have two sections, which is the brooder where the queen stays, and the super section where the honey is kept. With this method of beekeeping, you're able to be safe and to keep the environment safe, and the bees are able to be kept in a safe manner so that they cannot be attack maybe the neighbors or the other animals in the compound. So we suggest you use modern beekeeping methods and put them on a stand and place them in a place where you can be able to access them easily, and also hold them tightly on the stands so that you cannot be able to move the beehive. And in this method is very safe. Even if you're living just next to the beehives like we are standing now, the bees are safe and they cannot attack.
All right. Now, as you can see, these, the hives are actually in a very small area. And I can see that there are very many hives. How many liters of honey exactly can we get from this amount of hives?
Yes, the Langstroth hive and modern beekeeping does not occupy a lot of space. You only need 1 meter squared from one hive to the next. And from one hive, you can be able to get between 7 to 10 kilos of honey. You can harvest 2 times a year. So every hive per year should give you between 14 kilos to 20 kilos a year. And if you convert to the market rate, which is around 500 per kilo, you're able to get enough sufficient income from your beekeeping venture.
Right, so for farmers who are more conscious about having very many different things on their farms, this could be the best solution for them, right? Maybe if you could just tell us, what are some of the things that are required? Because you had told us earlier that there are solutions that you have here so that the bees can use it to make the honey. What are some of the things that are required?
In the agro-ecosystem or in the farm, smallholder farm that you have, you can be able to integrate beekeeping as part of your other activities that you do. And this is because, number one, beekeeping does not occupy a lot of space. So if you allocate it maybe a line along the fence, they'll be safe and they can be able to produce honey for you. Another way you can be able is if you grow plants that are like avocados or sunflower or maize, these bees are able to forage from these plants, and they'll provide them with pollen and nectar to make the honey, and this will be able to support the system. So you can make extra income, like supplemental income from the small farm that you have without incurring extra land charges or extra cost. Another thing with beekeeping is that you only do it, check on the beehives once a month, so it does not take a lot of your time. So in this period, within 1 month, you can be able to be doing other agricultural activities, and the bees are busy foraging and looking for water and managing their hive without your input. So it's an easy agricultural system, and you can integrate it in whatever business you do. The fourth one is for farmers who grow fruits like avocados and oranges and bananas, and you want to increase your production. And the bees are able to pollinate these crops and increase production for you. It's said that at least 80% production increase if you have bees on your farm. So they will increase your production for you. So if you're doing organic farming, just keep some bees in the area, and they will improve how much you can produce from these fruits like avocados and others.
Right. Now, you've been in this industry for quite some time now. Policies and, changes like that, regulations, usually do have a huge impact in how you run your business. Let's focus on your journey for a minute. What are some of the things that you've seen in regulations and in policies when government, is involved? How exactly does that, help or even detract your operations?
Yes, we've been in beekeeping for a while, and throughout the period we've been trying to get the right policies to be implemented. As at now, I know we had a big livestock policy bill that they are trying to make in Parliament, and we are trying to be also, put our input as beekeepers, as members of the Beekeepers Association of Kenya and Apiculture Society. We are able to come together and give our input on how we would want it to run, or how it can be best to serve the farmers that we serve. And they are still going on with the bill, and I hope when they establish it, it will be able to serve the farmers and support the farmers, other than push them down, yeah.
Right. Also, for this particular business, climate change does play a very huge role in how, productive some of these activities could be and how much honey one could even get. How exactly are you working around that? Are there any things that are, derailing you?
Yes, so climate change has been a major impact, especially to beekeepers, because everything that affects agriculture affects also livestock, and bees included. So for flooding systems, it's good to take care. If you're in an area that floods, you try and put the beehives on a stand like we're doing, so that even if it's flooding, the beehive is safe from the floods. And also during drought, just feed the bees. You can provide them with some sugar water, a mixture of sugar water, or fruit syrup to mix it with for them and give it to them so that they can survive the drought season. But when it rains, then the bees are able to sufficiently forage in the vicinity, and you don't have to even plant like crops in the area. Bees can find food in all the simple grasses and other shrubs or fences like we are having here. The kayapo fence, they're able to forage and get some honey from that.
Right. For a lot of youth watching this right now, they might be wondering, where exactly am I going to get the money from? Because this is a business at the end of the day. When it comes to sales, how does it perform locally and internationally? Where do you think it sells the most?
In terms of the products, so we have many bee products that you can get from beehives, and we have honey and beeswax and bee pollen and propolis and bee venom. So for each of these, there are different markets that you can access. For honey, we have sufficient market locally, like we consume 100,000 metric tons according to FAO, but we only produce just 20% of that. So even the local market demand is sufficient for you to be able to sell locally. And then for beeswax, we already even have export access for the beeswax. So if you produce beeswax, you can bring it to amalgamators like Yatta, and we can be able to sell it for export. And it's also available for use locally in pharmaceuticals and companies that produce oils and lip balms, which you can be able to even do for yourself and create a whole industry as a farmer doing value-added bee products like lip balms and facial products, and you can be able to grow these products. Even bee pollen is accessible market and people consume it. Bee propolis is very good for consumption for medicinal purposes, and even if you mix it, infuse it in honey and other components, you can be able to drink it to chase away the fleas. So all these products are useful. And the best thing about beekeeping products is that they don't expire. Like you can store them for a long period of time, and you can use them and sell them as the seasons go.
Right, and finally, as we start to conclude, Yatta as a brand has grown so much, within the time that it has existed, and the future seems to be very bright. Where exactly do you see it going, not only on the local space, but even internationally?
Yes, we have big dreams and visions to grow this space and Yatta to international levels. And the first one involves being able to access all regions in Kenya. So being able to set up local spaces everywhere. You'll find us in Western region, Mombasa region, so that we can serve and support the customers from this region, be able to produce quality products. And we are also registered as exporters of the bees products and quality beeswax. So our vision is to just bring all these farmers together, and we can buy your honey, your beeswax, all this product, and bring it together and export as a team.
Right. Now, you've said, of course, that the international market and even the local market is consuming a lot of honey that a lot of youth could sell. Just give us a one-liner for people who want to join this particular venture but are so scared to join it. What would you tell them?
I would tell them beekeeping is sweet business.
Sweet business. And now that we've highlighted the sweet business, I hope you've learned a lot from this particular episode. And I have as well. And you know, if you look into beekeeping, this could be a venture that you could be going into because there's a huge deficit that you could take advantage of. And these are things that you can learn every single day here on The Grind. You can send us your comments or even suggestions for businesses that you'd like for us to cover in the future on the numbers on your screen and social media handles as well. But until next week, same time, same place, good night. My name is Hibak Said.